Cheney. Very good. So Cheney's an entrepreneur for over 20 years and in the window film industry. She became first a customer of ours, which eventually became into a friendship and actually a mindset relationship because she's a woman that practices and breathes mindset. She's great at helping others. Her and her husband Adrian own a very successful business, also attends school, vinyl school, and has proven that mindset does matter and created success. Started off with barely nothing. I've seen them at the very beginning. I see where they're at now, and they have so much growth. So, Cheney, thank you for being on the call with me. Thank you for helping out and stepping in. And I could not have asked for such a an amazing, successful entrepreneur to be on here with me, especially in today's session, discipline over motivation.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'm very honored. I really feel very honored to be here today.
That's amazing. So today's session, I'm going to go ahead and just take over. We're going to be talking about mindset over um, mindset matters, obviously, the discipline over motivation. So I'm going to start off this call where people are still joining in. So if one of you guys co-hosts can continue helping me admitting people, that would be fantastic. So I'm going to start off with a quote. And you guys know I do martial arts. You guys know that I've practiced for Shaolin Kung Fu for many, many, many years. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm very, very disciplined. And Bruce Lee, I followed most of my life since my youth. So he has a quote that I really love, and it's to have discipline is to have patience, to have endurance, and to keep moving one step at a time. And that's by Bruce Lee. Uh, so we ask ourselves today, what is discipline? What's the definition of discipline? That's one of the most common questions. And for me, I think we need to stop treating discipline like a punishment. People think it's like, I have to do the things I don't like. I have to get up in the morning when I don't want to. I have to go to the gym and it's hard. So once you stop treating discipline as a punishment, that's when things start to change. But like we did in the last couple of weeks, I want to share my screen with you and I want to do some affirmations with you guys. I think that was really powerful. Everyone really enjoyed the affirmations that we did. And I actually wrote them down in a little flyer. And here we go. So let's say them together. Everybody together. You can just say it to yourself. You don't have to say it out loud. Today's affirmations. I do not need to feel motivated to take action. I keep the promises I make to myself. I choose progress over temporary comfort. Every disciplined decision strengthens my confidence. Today, I will do what my future self will thank me for. I am consistent, committed, and disciplined. So take a picture of these. These are great affirmations. I do these myself in the mornings, and everybody knows that we practice affirmations, we practice gratitude. But these affirmations are amazing. I say them every morning, and over time, these affirmations that we do and we tell ourselves, they really, really become a part of our lives. Cheney, I'm going to make a few other people on this call co-hosts so they can help me admit people. So I'm going to bring you to the spotlight, like you kind of take over for a little bit and tell me, or you can add a little bit to what we're talking about today's topic, and tell us about some habits that you have, some disciplines that you have, some things that you practice, and things that have helped with your success in your career and your life.
Thank you. I come from a corporate background. I was with in the airline industry for quite some time, and then so they really structured me in my early 20s as far as discipline, because we have to clock in and clock out kind of situation. So kind of getting in that, going to bed early, planning my week and planning my accounts and things like that, really helped me as an entrepreneur. I didn't think it at the time. I thought, oh gosh, the punishment that you spoke about. I was like, oh my goodness, I got to get up and go do this again, right? But now that I'm an entrepreneur and I've been doing this now for 20 years, I realized they were setting me up for my future success. Going to bed at an appropriate time, having my week planned out, just being able to just have a plan of action, setting goals for myself is really something that has allowed me to break away from the chaos of not knowing what I'm going to do next. Although today
So,
was kind of that situation, right? But
yeah,
you
yeah.
learn to fly with it.
Absolutely. Motivation can inspire you to start. And and today I want to talk about some of the major differences between motivation. So motivation is, that's what inspires you to start. But discipline is what helps you continue. There's going to be days where you're going
Yes,
to feel excited, full of energy. Uh, there's also days when you're tired, distracted, and unsure. And so
yes,
success is
yes,
not built on the days when you feel motivated. And you and
right,
I know that as entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs. It's built, on the
yes,
days when you choose to keep going, even when it's hard. And so
right,
everybody on this call, you guys can apply this, and it doesn't matter if you're a student, it doesn't matter if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an employee, whatever your professional life is, we're going to endure difficult moments in our life. And so those actions that you take when things are difficult, that's what keeps us going. No?
right, right. And I'm also a very busy mother. So, not only do I have, running multiple businesses as well as a school, as well as a nonprofit, I'm also a busy mother of a teenage baseball player. So between coming here for 8 hours a day and running the businesses and then going home at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, making sure that this young man has his baseball bag ready to go to practice. And then on the weekends, we're set for baseball tournaments and stuff like that. So trying to find
So,
that balance between a
yeah.
mom, being a mom and an entrepreneur.
That's amazing because that leads right into what I'm saying next, and especially women, you guys are so amazing at multitasking. That's such an amazing. So basically, the it's creating habits. It's creating these habits, staying
Yes,
focused, and doing what needs to be done. And
yes,
even when nobody's watching, right? Nobody's watching. So
correct,
those are these
correct.
small actions that you repeat every single day is what creates the results. People are waiting
Yes,
for these big wins, but you got to
moments.
celebrate. Yeah, yeah, you got to celebrate every step. Every step you do builds confidence, strength, and progress towards your dream. So don't wait for the perfect moment. So those of you guys that are thinking about, starting a new business, or asking for a promotion, or wanting to take a difficult class, don't wait for the perfect moment of that feeling. Take control of your choices and stay consistent. So, remember, motivation may open the door, but the discipline is what carries you through that door. Yes or no?
Right, right.
And
I've
so
learned
your
to
future.
ask. I mean, my advice is I've learned to ask because you never know until you ask. And that builds, with wisdom and just experiences with how I go about capturing new businesses and things like that. Adrian, on the other guy, he's a little bit more kind of reserved when it comes to going after certain projects. I'm more like, I'm going to ask for it. And then if they say no, what's the worst? Is they say no, right? Or we come to a compromise and be able to say, okay, this is where the happy medium is. So, what I advise to all of you guys is don't be afraid to ask. And what Maher just talked about, we need to celebrate the small moments in our life as well. Don't wait for the big moments in our life. Celebrate every milestone that you have because those little small moments that you have are going to lead to that big, you know, firework celebration that you're going to look for in life. And I've had many of those moments where I walked in and thinking, oh, this is just one window that I'm doing for a customer. And then it turns out to be 150 windows. So when everybody
You,
else turned away from it.
discipline, uh, it gives a person control of their own life. Okay.
Yes.
You take control. So the moment you master everything around you, things start to change. The disciplined person, we move differently. We don't wait for motivation to appear. And I use this many times, and I'll use it again today. Um, when I take a warm bath, everybody loves a nice warm bath, don't you? But who wants to be in a very cold, icy shower? Nobody really, right? So this is where I started this habit years ago. I read it in a motivational book, and I don't remember who it was, but it was one of these motivational speakers that applied this to his life. And it's you don't think about it, you just do. You just do it. Now it's become a habit. Like before I leave the shower, I'm in a nice warm bath. Right before I leave. I start cold, 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 cold. I don't even think, I just do. And this is where the power of habit comes into place. Because once you create the discipline, you create a habit. And these habits lead to, growth, success, and so many things in your life. You know, um, they don't wait for motivation to appear, is basically what I'm telling you. Do not fold every time life becomes uncomfortable, right? Motivation, habits keep moving forward. So create these disciplines. That's what keeps you moving forward. And that's why discipline is so powerful. It sharpens the mind, strengthens the body, and raises your standard. So I always say success is not just about wealth. Success for me is about having a healthy body, a healthy mind, a healthy lifestyle, a healthy business. So it's the whole package. So when we talk about discipline, it's not just about your professional life, it's about your personal life too, because discipline matters. Not every moment you choose you chose growth over comfort, build something. Okay. Because discipline is not restriction. It's basically I thought about this earlier. It's discipline is self-respect in action. You know,
Yes. Yes.
the
I
ability to
agree.
look at your life and say, I will not waste my potential. I do not have anything special over anybody on this call. We're all humans. I mean, there's nothing special that I have, you know. So we all have the same potential. We all have the same 24 hours in the day, yes or no? Okay. Whether you're
Yeah.
rich or not rich or old or young, it doesn't matter. We all have the same 24 hours in the day. So,
Yeah.
don't waste your potential. How many times do you catch yourself browsing social media? 1 minute becomes five becomes 30 minutes, and it becomes an hour, and what you're doing is you're clicking like on other people's success instead of creating discipline to create your own success. A disciplined person does not
Right.
become powerful overnight. How long did it take you, Cheney? I mean, it didn't happen overnight. It was years, correct, in the making for where
Yeah.
you're at
I mean,
now.
I'm 52, believe it or not, and I've been doing this for 20 years solid, and I'm still learning. I want to continue to keep learning, and I want to partner with, those like yourself who can continue to mentor me, because we're all from different industry, and I learn something new every day from somebody. You know, so for me, sorry. So for me, it's really just continue to be open minded about the world around me, and not, just limit myself, from continuing to learn.
So that's fantastic. And so let's move on this topic. We talked about your future self. I always say, don't compare yourself with others. I tell my children, don't compare yourself with other athletes or other students or other successful people. Compare yourself with yourself. So choosing what your future self needs over what your present emotion wants. You know,
Yeah.
your present self usually wants comfort. Your future self wants progress. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Your present
Yes.
self wants to delay difficulties, conversations. This is where we procrastinate. This is where we get lazy. We skip workout. We skip training, basketball training in the morning. I know I have some basketball people on here. We spend money, react emotionally, and we stay in bed a little longer. Put the snooze button. Your future self wants confidence, health, financial stability, stronger relationships, and peace of mind. One habit that I do is I don't have any snooze buttons. And the first thing I do, my body now wakes up before the alarm goes off. I have 10, 15, 20 minutes. And
Mhm.
so what I do when I touch my phone is I turn off the alarm before it even goes off. And so you create that habit. And I was talking to my son Malik the other day about, creating a good sleeping habit and what that does to your mindset. That creating a good sleeping habit is a great step into creating that discipline for yourself. So don't write your disciplines down, the things that you want to achieve, things that are hard for you that when you do every day, and take small steps. Like we were talking about diet the other day, and I told them you don't have to give up soft drinks like I did. Just maybe give them up during the week and have them on the weekend. So make small achievable goals to achieving those disciplines. And so it makes the journey easier. Um,
Yes, I agree.
think of your life like a company. You present self, yeah, your present self is the employee working today. Your future self is the owner who will live with the results. Isn't that a great analogy? So I'll say it again. Your
Mhm.
present self is the employee working today. Your future self is the owner who will live with the results. Okay. So if an employee keeps making careless decisions, the owner eventually pays the price. So that, every action either is creating a problem for your future or solving one in advance. Now, confidence grows when you continue repeating uh, your daily habits, your affirmations, the things that I do, the gratitude, the prayers, and all that helps me build the strength to create the discipline and where I am at today. You know,
Yeah.
um, what are some good habits that you guys practice maybe in the mornings, whether food or diet or do you and your family do anything special or do it for yourself?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, Jenny.
Oh,
Well, everybody
sorry.
actually. Yeah, everybody. I mean, this question could be to anybody. What is it that you guys are doing every day to create discipline in your life? Some days are bright and powerful, but other days are completely, different. So are you guys creating in your daily habits something that can create discipline to help you achieve success in your life? You know,
Yeah.
you cannot build your
Thanks.
future on something that changes every morning. Okay. So
Yeah.
think of a discipline as the roof. So go ahead, Janie. I'm sorry.
Well, for me, like I said, it's just having a plan of action, and when you spoke about getting up before the alarm clock go off, I mean, I guess I'm at that age, or we're both at that age where it automatically does that. I
Yeah.
set my alarm at about 7:30 when there's no school, but when there's school, we're usually up by 6:30, preparing, getting ready to be out the door. But um, now it's 7:30 because we're literally 3 minutes from our office to our home, and my thing is, making sure that I'm at the office by at least 8:30. Getting my coffee, getting all the stuff done, getting ready, prepared for the day, making sure all the guys have their supplies and where they need to be. So it's kind of now it's a routine that I've kind of gotten into for the last 20 years. And it helps because, like I said, I can be here, I can be quiet, I can have my moment. And, it's just because our door opens at 9. So I still have 30 minutes to be able to
Yeah.
just do what I need to do to prepare and not be feeling like I'm being rushed into doing anything.
So I want to share something with you guys. Let's talk about because procrastination is a big one. When we had last year, we had a session about overcoming procrastination and fear, and we had a whole topic about it. But this kind of ties in with discipline. So, procrastination is not always laziness. Sometimes procrastination may be because a task is too large or too hard. You're afraid of failing. So let's talk about some solutions to procrastination. Um, for me is reducing the size of the task if it's a task. Focus on the beginning. Don't when you reduce these tasks, it can. these large tasks can become very overwhelming. So don't focus on completing everything. Break things down into, you know, baby steps and smaller tasks. You know, I have to finish this entire, you know, you tell yourself, I'm going to work for the first, you know, slide. Don't say I need to exercise for an hour. You know, instead say I'm going to put my shoes off and move for 10 minutes. You know, those for those that are not exercising. Start using deadlines. You know, just hold yourself accountable to deadlines. You know, most people have deadlines for when something must be completed, you know, but
Right.
you don't have to have a deadline for when you must begin, right? Um, Stop negotiating with yourself is another thing I want to talk about. You know, every time you repeatedly debate with yourself, you know, we talked about the inner voice. We had a session on the inner voice. So when you start debating with yourself, then you weaken your decision. So we had a session, Master Your Inner Voice. It was a very powerful session. So, you know, I will do it after lunch. These, you know, some things that your inner voice is telling you, I'll start tomorrow. I'm too tired. I'm not in the right mood. This is when you have to take control of your inner voice and start telling your inner voice where your voice becomes one. You know, you and your mind and your inner voice become one person. And so now it's not a
Right.
debate. It's only a decision that you've already made to move forward. That's what creates discipline. You know, I get to the gym with my trainer and I see some young athletes there, as young as 13 and, you know, all the way up into the professional leagues. But they've already been there since 5 a.m., you know, sometimes 4:30 a.m. Uh, and it's I'm in awe because that's a discipline that they have no idea these 13 that their parents are, you know, are pushing them to be in this gym at 5 a.m. in the morning on a weekday before school starts. Uh, they have no idea what that's creating for the success of their life. You know, it's just it's amazing, and I love to see, you know, that parents are committed to pushing their children to the next level. No, and I love doing that with my kids. You know, we talk and they get annoyed sometimes, but we hope that they listen. So we
Right.
just continue pushing them, right? Right, Jenny? Pushing your kids
Yeah.
to step out of the
Yeah.
comfort zone, to create discipline, to create good habits, you know?
I mean,
Um,
I have my grandparents to thank,
yeah,
for setting that high standards and just making sure that we, set daily goals. And, I have really high standard for my children because as an immigrant to this country, I had didn't speak a lick of English when we came here. So we had to learn a new language, learn a new culture and country. And so my children that are born here, I'm like, you have no excuses to not be successful. If mom can get herself out of poverty to be where she is today, you have no excuses. Some people can say I'm a tiger mom, but some people may say, you know what, her children are very disciplined. And between the two children that I have, I mean, I've got my oldest Kennedy who works for us. She runs our whole entire operation. Um, you know, and then our youngest who is on his way to succeeding in life as well. And I think it's just from the standard that we set in our household. So it starts at the bottom, guys.
yes, yes. And you know, we use ourselves as an example all the time. And you know, my father going into 4 different countries, learning 4 languages, just that mindset and that discipline. Um, so not a lot of interaction between the audience today, but I see a
Yeah,
few.
we love to hear from you guys.
So if you guys have any comments or questions, I see a lot of emotions and likes and loves. Um, you know, I want to wrap this call up by saying my motivation. So when we entered a certain business and in the network marketing world and in that world, we always talk about the reason why you want to do something, why you enter the business, why you want to create success. So for everybody on this call, I wanna I want you to ask yourself why. Why do you want to create that discipline? Why do you want to achieve that goal? Write it down and make that your strength to push yourself to do the things that you don't want to do. Okay. Um, I love writing goals down. I have a journal. I write them on my phone. I'm using my phone a lot more now, typing with my finger. But there is some powerful emotional connection by actually physically writing things down, and extremely powerful.
Yes.
So for everybody on this call, write the reason why. Create, have three goals for yourself. Okay. If you don't write goals, at least start with three goals, achievable goals, and not only write the goal, but the reason why you want to achieve them. A lot of people just write a goal down and they look at the goal, but they don't focus enough on the reason why you want to achieve the goal. And for me, you know, uh, that was the secret. That was the secret formula that I really didn't. I learned it on my own because once I knew the reason I was trying to achieve that goal, that was my motivation and my discipline. It could be for your children, it could be for your parents, it could be just for yourself. A physical. We talked about my push-ups on another session and how obsessed I became with my push-ups. So, what was the reason I wanted to do 100 push-ups a day and just I ended up being 200 a day? What was my reason for that? So, my reason was health. It was to reduce my, I years ago I had some health issues and I've overcome all those. I'm extremely healthy, but I had a goal to achieve. And it was not only just to look good physically for myself, of course, and but it was also for health reasons. And so it created a discipline. And so when I found that reason as to why, it helped me push to that next level. Um, I want to bring Dr. K on this call, so I'm gonna Dr. K, gonna add you to the spotlight. So
Hello.
well,
Hello.
hey, welcome, welcome. So everybody loved you co-hosting with me last week. I had so many compliments. So we're right at the 33 after the hour. So I'm just gonna give you 2 minutes this time, not five. 2 minutes to talk. Maybe give us some of because you're a successful doctor. You're an OB/GYN surgeon. Your doctor's anesthesiologist, and so give us some of your little mindset on this topic. And you
Really,
got
yeah.
two
Thank,
minutes.
thank you, Maher. Thank you, Shani, and thank you, everybody. And of course, talking about motivation and discipline. I grew up with it. That is how my life was created. Imagine life is in your hands. You don't have a time to say, I need to call in sick. I One of my biggest experience in my life, like I just had my own surgery on my second baby, and I still have two double binders in my tummy. The wound is so fresh, and here comes I have to do a surgery on my own patient like 2 days after my surgery on my second baby. That is what you call really motivation with no excuse. You can even say to yourself, I can't do it. No, you can do it. When life is at stake, you can do it. However, it doesn't have to be that difficult. Little things that you are motivated, work on that. Put that energy there. Don't focus on weak energy. If you think something red makes you motivated, go red. If you think a cup of coffee can make you motivated, go coffee. It doesn't have to be somebody else. You know you're motivated on something else. Look for that. That
Yeah.
little thing that motivates you, it starts from something small and goes big, really big. And you'll realize
Yeah.
that that is where your energy goes and avoid the negativity first. The negativity can inspire you too because you're going to say, I don't want to be like that, right? But if you're focused on something else, if you're focused on something little, but it motivates you in a positive way, hey, Maher, Shani, right? Let's go for it.
Yeah.
So
Because,
I want to
Yeah.
touch on something that you just said on
uh-huh,
negativity. So you just brought something to mind, and I want to share something. So I, we have unfortunately, and I talked about this earlier. There's so much negativity in the world, especially in the big cities with
mhm,
traffic, and people get frustrated and short-tempered, and so I come from a family with uncles and siblings and people that could be short-tempered and so I was always the passive one in the family, maybe my martial arts industry, but still on the inside, I could get heated up. So I made it a point to myself that if somebody cut me off in traffic or somebody flipped me off because they didn't like me or somebody said the wrong thing, I was going to smile. I was going to remain confident and remain peaceful and remain, you know, those are it's hard. It's hard. Even at art, Dr. K and Channing, it's hard if somebody insults you or cuts you off or says the wrong thing to you. It's hard not to react, but my discipline was to maintain my composure, my smile, and create a friendly environment and for those around me, And so that's something that I have developed over the years. It takes a lot for something to bother me now, And a lot of it goes back to gratitude because when you're so grateful for so many things, those little things don't bother you anymore.
Mhm.
So anyway,
Right.
we're 37. Thank you.
Invest your time wisely.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you, Dr. K, for jumping on last
Thank you,
minute.
Dr.
Thank you,
K.
Jenny, for helping out here. For everybody in the call,
Honor.
I love all you guys. Somebody told me that the chat was disabled. So for some reason, I don't know what happened. Today's chat was disabled. We'll make sure that we turn it on next time. Um, yeah, every one of you on this call, I'm gonna pray for you for continued success, for continued love, wealth, and prosperity in your families, and most importantly, for development of continued your discipline, for that discipline. Keep me in your prayers as well. I value and appreciate every single one of you down to my heart. So you guys have a fantastic day, and we will see
Thank
you
you.
next week for session 4 of Mindset Matters. So everybody have a fantastic day.
Thank you so much.
Bye for now.